Veterinary medicine is a messy business, both physically and emotionally. Vetsplaining is one veterinarian's attempt to explain and understand her own profession a little better. Join Dr. Lisa McFadden as she delves deep into the medical and business aspects of veterinary medicine. In my quest to teach you all about the different careers that are available for veterinarians, I had the awesome opportunity to sit down and interview Dr. Erin Casey, who works for Boehringer Ingelheim. And I'm going to let the interview speak for itself.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. My name is Erin Casey. I'm a veterinarian with Boehringer Ingelheim Animal Health. I started with industry in April 2015, originally hired by Marielle. In, December 2015, it was announced that Boehringer Ingelheim was interested in purchasing Marielle. So since then, I've been a Boehringer Ingelheim Animal Health employee, but still with the same group of people and the same products for the most part. I began with industry initially because Dr. Linda Grace out of New England is someone I met in leadership experiences a number of years ago. And at the time, I mentioned to her, hey, keep me in mind if you ever hear of a position with Marielle. I'd love to work for them. And Linda, who is the Northeast veterinarian, now in North Carolina, but covered Northeast for a long time, has a mind like a steel trap. So 5 years later, I was finishing up my fellowship with the American Association of Advancement of Science. I was placed with Department of State in Boggy Bottom, DC, working the Ebola outbreak. I happened to be in Paris, France, with the worst jet lag ever, on my way to interview at Lyon at Interpol the next day for a job after my fellowship, when I got an email from Linda saying, hey there, remember 5 years ago when you told me you'd be interested in working for Marielle? Well, the position in Virginia is opening up. Would you want to do it? So since I couldn't sleep with jet lag, I went ahead and put my name in, just give it a shot. Why not? Haven't talked about fleas and ticks in a couple of years. It could be fun. And went on about my way after submitting my application to the painters. Okay. Went about my way and interviewed at Interpol the next day, flew home, did some work. And then a few weeks later, got the phone call from Marielle asking if I'd be interested in considering the position. So the interview process went quickly from there. After the first interview, I realized that this is something I really wanted to do. It wasn't just talking about frontline all day. There are a lot of different opportunities within the job, and I went for it. I was very lucky to receive the position, be offered the position in April 2015, and the rest is history in that sense.
What were you interviewing for with Interpol? What do veterinarians do for Interpol?
No, that's a really good question. So part of my fellowship at the U.S. Department of State, I was working in cooperative threat reduction and biosecurity engagement. So basically making sure zoonotic pathogens or any sort of disease or terrorist threat from a biological perspective was kept away from nefarious actors. The Ebola outbreak happened during that time when I was a fellow, and I happened to be covering sub-Saharan Africa. So it was actually rather fortuitous that that worked out, and I spent time in Mali, Nigeria, Kenya, a variety of different places, some impacted by Ebola, some not, and just being the zoonotic disease expert, per se, for my department. With that in mind, Interpol had been looking for additional veterinarians to hire in their biological security program in that area, wanting to have more people be involved with training and engaged with developing countries around the world to make sure that we do not have that interface of terrorism and biological agents become too crazy.
Wow.
So, yeah, I would have been a program officer at Interpol in that sense. And to be honest, part of it was I wasn't ready to move overseas at the time. So I stepped away from that removed my application. And I also had a senior dog at the time and didn't want her last year or two to be with someone besides me. And I know as veterinarians, we understand that how much that weighs on us. So,
yeah.
And it worked out that this job with Marielle, I could not have asked for a better fit. My parents are thrilled to have me, and I always joke, my parents are happy I'm in West Virginia now instead of West Africa as part of my job. So just having me a little bit closer. But it's been tremendous. I love what I do every day. the first job, I would say, since graduating from University of Georgia College of Vet Med in 2010, where I love going to work every day. So I really.
And so what do you do kind of on a day-to-day basis for, I guess now BI? Because you guys are officially BI, right?
Officially Boehringer Ingelheim Animal Health. The name Marielle, as much as it's been part of our careers for decades, has now gone away. Slowly. The legal process will take that into 2022 probably, but slowly the Marielle name is going away. As part of my job with Boehringer Ingelheim, I'm a professional services veterinarian now covering just the state of Virginia. When I joined with Marielle, I also covered West Virginia, which is near and dear to my heart, but now I stay just in Virginia, my home state. So I cover the whole state, providing technical support to the sales team. And just a few minutes ago, I got a call from a sales rep about our Lyme vaccine and boostering it versus competitors' Lyme vaccines and how that works. So I basically am the technical resource for the sales team. I go out in the field quite a bit with them, usually 3 days a week, which means I follow them around in our cars. We go from clinic to clinic and meet with doctors to discuss different uses of our products, more technical uses of our products, just depending on kind of what questions the doctors have. So that composes a good part of my job on a day-to-day basis. And those sales reps, they keep me on my toes. They're smart, they're engaged. I just got pictures of sales reps that are dressing up in poop costumes to discuss the concerns about intestinal parasites and fecal samples. So they're dressing up like poop and they're bringing in poop-shaped cupcakes to clinics with worms in them. So you got to love the creativity that I get to see every day. I love it. Yeah, so that's part of the position. I also cover conferences that come about throughout the world, but mostly in the United States. So we'll work the booth and interact with veterinarians that way. I get to deliver continuing education and different presentations associated on topics that are of interest to me. And one of the areas that recently has come about for our company is a focus on compassion fatigue. This is something that we haven't done in the past. We are late to the game, I would say, I'll be honest, compared to some of the work Merck's done and Zoetis has been amazing. So we finally are stepping up and I'm really excited. So I've done a variety of talks on compassion fatigue, wellness, taking care of yourself. And as a company, we've created a task force that's focusing on this area too. And I love the autonomy of our job for that reason. I do a variety of things every day too. I'm working from home, so that's nice too, just catching up on email before the holiday weekend. So it depends on the day, but I love the freedom, the diversity, and the autonomy of the job. And it's interesting looking at the statistics even because, and I won't go off too much on a tangent on this, but with people in industry, veterinarians in industry actually have a lower risk of suicide compared to veterinarians in small animal practice. So it's interesting looking at why that is and your career choices and how that impacts what you do. But it's definitely a concern in our profession and something we all need to work together to address. So thank you for doing that part.
I find it fascinating how little we take care of ourselves as professionals. Yeah.
But yeah, we're so good about taking care of our patients, taking care of the owners, but we do very little to take care of ourselves, exactly, as a profession, and we're not doing enough to address it, in my opinion. So hopefully it's something that we can do as a company to do our part.
And having gone through the transition, like having been a part of Marielle and then having them become acquired, is that the correct word? Acquired by BI or merged? Or?
Yep, acquired by BI. It's the best way to say it because they did in fact purchase us. I know a lot of people think of Marielle as the bigger name.
Yeah.
But BI was the overall bigger company and very interested in having a bigger stake in animal health.
Yeah, well, I'm real glad they got rid of their vaccine line.
Can I record you saying that?
I can say it. I'm not employed by them.
Okay. So it's been confusing because the vaccines are still labeled BI, but they're owned by Elanco.
Right, yeah.
And the vaccines are still labeled Marielle, but they're owned by BI now.
Yeah.
So all sorts of a hot mess.
Well, and then when Elanco got the vaccines, our rep came and he's like, let me tell you about these great vaccines we just got. And I was like, I didn't want them when BI owned them. I didn't want them, I don't want them now. So, but thanks.
But appreciate the offer, yes.
I have a bit of a reputation, I think, among the drug reps just because I expect them to know their products. And when they don't, I'm not shy about pointing out that they don't know their products.
I appreciate that. Thank you, because you have to keep them on their toes and they not get complacent.
There's so much stuff that we have to know that it's so easy just to like take everybody's word for it. But you have to be really careful when people are pitching things because they can't directly say like this product's better, but they can use words that insinuate that and use words that like make you think, oh, that product does a better job than, X product does a better job than Y. And then when you go read the data, you're like, no, they're really good at like grammar and linguistics to like make it seem fancier.
Exactly. There's a lot of marketing that goes into it, and that's what we as veterinarians have to tease apart. What's just marketing and what's actual research?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to be very careful, especially with, FDA products, using any sort of superlative like better or descriptive words. So
sure.
Be very, but it's because you're right. There's a lot out there. There's not just one, eye socks in the market anymore. So
yeah. Well, and it's similar, like, because I do integrative medicine, so I work with Chinese herbs, and so you have to be careful. Like, you can't say this herbal formula will cure this disease because that's A, not accurate, and B, not FDA proven.
Absolutely. But is it Unum Bio? I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it correctly, but
I'm sorry?
Unum Bio or the
yeah.
Literally, the herb was a lifesaver when I was in practice. So
yeah.
I appreciate the integrative medicine approach. There's definitely uses in the exam room for both sides.
Yeah. So cool. You said you fielded a lot of questions about the vaccines and the other products, and then you're doing a lot of continuing education. Are you an extrovert by nature? Because I'm assuming when you applied for the position, like if you're an introvert and you have to stand at those booths, it's got to be a little intimidating.
I will say I'm an introvert by all aspects of my world, but I can turn it on for this job. So with that said, I'll turn it on for the day, and then I'll go home and not want to talk to anybody for a good 5 hours just to calm down a little bit and relax. So it's definitely, there are aspects that are challenging as an introvert, but I can joke about it. When I give presentations, I'll stand up in front of the audience, and when I'll ask a question and there's a pause, I'll ride it out and I'll say, guys, I'm an introvert. I can do awkward silence longer than any of you in this room. So you can challenge me and then I'll wait for them to talk. So definitely an introvert, but can turn it on when I need to for this position.
Like, I think there's a couple of types of veterinarians when they go to the booths at the CEs, right? Like, there's ones that really want to know about it. There are ones that just want the free stuff.
Yes, they're the ones that make contact when they walk by.
Yeah.
I'm one of those usually. So.
My friend is like a master of waiting for the other people at the booth being occupied and then like taking a bunch of free stuff and jetting out. Like,
I've seen them.
Yeah, I'm not good at it. I end up like, I just like feel like deer in headlights. Like,
it's an adventure for sure because it's fun watching our people as they walk through the crowds because we're not great at talking to people in general. We're not always the most aware as far as our fashion sense. So you put all that together and it's fascinating. But yeah, we do our best to engage folks who want to talk when we're at the booth. But my sales reps are there usually, and they can handle most of it, and then they bring me in when they have questions. So.
Oh, nice.
It's a good balance.
Yeah, the authority backup.
Exactly, and the sales reps take care of us. They know that veterinarians in general are awkward, that we're just get a little quiet sometimes, so they give us their space and let us have our time, and then the sales reps will bring us in when they need us. It works out well.
So I know on my, I did a couple, like I think it was like 3 podcasts about vaccines, and because we carry, I think almost all Marielle vaccines. So I talked a lot about like why we carry them and especially like for the Recombitech and then the PureVax lines. So we've covered vaccines, I think, in pretty good detail. Are there other products specifically through BI that you're really excited about that you want to talk about?
I am. One that we've had out now it was released at AAFP meetings. That was last fall. It is Sementra, which is labeled in the United States for feline hypertension. That's been a really interesting drug to discuss because of how it works on the RAS system, or on RAS. It has protective benefits associated with that. I'm trying to think of better what I can say and what I can't say, I'll be honest. But It's been an interesting product to discuss with veterinarians and the different uses associated with feline hypertension. So it's one I'd encourage anyone